All right, let's test that mic.
Hello?
Yeah, let's test that mic. Let's hear it.
Hello?
Yes, a little louder.
Hello?
All right, sounds good. So I wanted to record this for our listeners here at the Scotch stream because we were having an interesting conversation. I said, let's just stop. Let's just record this for everyone. So we'll just pick up where we left off. I've been thinking about this for quite a while now, and I don't believe there's such a thing as natural rights.
I mean, well, you see, there's this man called John Locke, and he wrote this book, and it was called The Rights of Man. And in it, he said there's these things called natural rights. Now, you can't see them. They're not real like tea is real or spam is real. But they are there. And you know they're there because they're unalienable.
How do we know they're there though? Like I can't tell. Like they seem to be taken away with impunity, and then is there?
Well, you know, John Locke was a very, very smart man. And us mere mortals who aren't so well versed in David Hume and
David who?
I'm thinking David Hume.
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 Okay, Hume.
Hume.
Oh, all right. Okay,
Well, there's this thing called the Western canon. Now, if we ignore them foreigners over there, Nietzsche, Kant, Aristotle, they're all a bit gay-like, and we just stick to the English,
yeah,
the solid stock of Britain, the Anglos. Then you will find that there is a strong philosophical tradition backing up the existence of these here rights.
Well, I'd really like for somebody like this Hume to draw out a picture or like a bullet point list of ideas and proof that those rights exist.
Well,
because like I see my internet friends post things on Twitter, and then they just get deleted, and they don't really seem to have a right of free speech. And I would really like to be able to find that right, that natural right for them, and put it in a box and give it back to them so that their tweet would reappear.
Well, you see, free speech is a tricky one because if you were to actually read Locke and Hume and they're the only two I really know actually, Locke and Hume. I'm sure there's some others, but if you were to read them, you'd realise that the idea of free speech is defined as whatever the people at the time wish to define it as free speech. Like if you go back to the United States Constitution, the only things that were free speech, according to their First Amendment right, was stuff that was written on letters. Now, we're in the modern world, and things change with time. And so that right has had to be extended in a way. Stuff you say on the internet is now classed as speech. But what has changed in the last 50, 100 years is there's some things that are bad. And because they're bad, that's not free speech. That's hate speech. And hate speech is not free. It's not even speech. It's violence. Now, we can all say that we like people saying things and it's good for them to be able to say what they want, but none of us here would find it acceptable to go out and hit someone. And when someone says something mean on the internet, it's just like hitting someone. Because words hurt. Words hurt, and words can make people commit suicide. So if we want to keep people from bully-siding themselves, that is not okay. We gotta keep it all in moderation. Like
there's a lot here. There's a lot here that somebody smarter than me, somebody like Sam Harris would need to unpack. But you started off there and you said that like 50 or 100 years ago, these things were good, but now they're bad.
Well, all of this is transient, like. There's no fixed concept in the world. There's no grounding in reality. We're teleological. We're teleological, and
we don't have a purpose.
no. I mean, we're just cells floating through the universe. We are just clumps of shells. Just clumps of cells. All of us are clumps of cells, and clumps of cells have rights, like not being murdered, but only some clumps of cells, mind. Other clumps of cells that we say we can murder, given certain circumstances, they're all right to murder. You just stick a needle up there, fucking vacuum out the brain, and that's all right. But us clump of cells, who are post-uterine, you might say,
I see.
having left the magic channel of the vaginal canal, we are afforded certain rights that are unalienable and never change, even though we live in a universe that is entirely arbitrary. It's very, very smartish.
It is. It's so complex that I must not be smart enough to understand it.
The sheer amount of nuance you need to understand this thing. I mean, you'd have to be a successful podcaster who is funded by certain neoliberal institutions, who gets a lot of money from people who have certain ideas about the world, like the UN and George Soros and
Soros.
Soros.
Who are some of these podcasts that we should listen to learn about these ideas and to get all this nuance? Would that be something like?
Oh well, you got of course you got Ben Shapiro.
Oh right.
Ben Shapiro, the bastion of liberty.
Yeah.
He may be short, but he is smart.
Right.
He's very, very smart. He goes to campuses where you need like at least 100 IQ to get in, and he says things with enough force and impact that he mogs them, is what he does. He stands up there, and in spite of his short stature and tiny arms, he mogs the entire university audience of very intelligent people. And I mean, he's basically punk rock. This man.
Yeah,
he's punk rock. Paul Joseph Watson.
Counterculture. These guys.
Say again.
Counterculture. These guys.
Counterculture. I mean, they're just generally unacceptable. And the fact that they haven't been banned from Twitter, and they are they do persist in the cultural media landscape. The fact that Jordan Peterson got to go on Channel 4 and discuss his very, very, very scary ideas to a live audience of millions, that shows you how counterculture they are. Because if someone is genuinely counterculture, then they will make sure that everyone hears about it.
Interesting. I always thought they were just moderate. Their views seemed moderate to me.
Well, the only thing that we should have in extremity is moderation. Now,
I've heard that.
Lots of people will tell you that you should just do good things that you think are good and do that to your maximal ability. But I personally, and I'm harking back here to not some great philosophy, but something my grandma used to tell me, which was everything in moderation except moderation. So if you go for a run, you got to smoke a cigarette right after that run. Otherwise, you're doing too much good.
I see. I feel better about my pipe.
You can have too much health. You can focus too much on it, and it can ruin your life being too healthy. But, caring about things, feeling good, just feeling good all the time. It's very bad for you. And so we should moderate our virtues with our sins. This is what, back to the Greeks, this is what Aristotle would call the mean.
Oh, I don't think that's right. I think he uses the mean to find the virtue, and then we have to go all in on that virtue, I think. Was I wrong about that?
But we live in a universe that's made up of, basically billiard balls bouncing against one another. What the fuck is a virtue? We just do things, and if some people do them and some people do other things, then both of those things must be equally valid. Some people, join a monastery, spend their whole life in dedication to service to an idea.
That's immoderate.
Other people put people in the back of cars, pour gasoline over them, set them on fire, and I can't make a judgment on that. They're both equally valid modes of existence. That's all I'm saying.
That's so we can take all this back to David Hume.
David Hume.
Yeah, and Locke.
And Locke.
Yeah,
very good men, them.
I think you're right. One of the things that's always upset me is Jefferson wrote that that we believe these rights to be self-evident. Well, I never liked that. That he took those rights to be self-evident, that those truths were self-evident, that all men are created equal, and so on. I would like for him to have shown his work.
Well, you see, we live in a time, as we've established, truth doesn't actually exist. There is no real. We're all in a simulation. I mean, if you listen to Elon Musk, we live in a computer. We're in a computer. And so in the modern world, there are no longer fixed things. And there is no way of showing your worth. You can't demonstrate that these things are real. But as long as you just say they are and pay certain figures to also tell you that they are, and loosely define them just enough that no one can pick holes in your work, then as far as the public are concerned, they're very, very real.
As far as the public is concerned.
Memetics over truth. This is the future. Wow.
That's you've given me a lot to think about here.
Well, I'm glad I could be of service. Introducing some good English common sense to my fellow American brethren.
Well, thanks.
We burnt your tight-ass city to the ground in 1812, and maybe we'll have to do it again.
Well, that's something I could get on board with. We'll have to talk about that more in the future.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.